Jide Pascal Agwadike, and with me is my wife.
Isn't it Agwadike?
Basically, we've always had this feeling, we have always been convinced that we have a very good marriage, an excellent marriage. But there are things you take for granted, and before you know it, they begin to impact on the marriage. So on my own part, it got to a head because trust was lost. Wife, he couldn't believe me when I say certain things, especially regarding, quite frankly, fidelity. And for her, it was a deal breaker. She needed full exclusivity. She needed full trust. She needed fidelity. So it was a deal breaker for her. It was the lowest point for me in the marriage, and for us, we have always tried to resolve issues within ourselves. And for her in particular, she doesn't believe in involving third parties. It was much of a relief when Diologue got involved. She got in touch with my wife and of course spoke with her husband. And then they came to the house to meet me, and from there, things took a different turn. I became a lot more intentional. I got involved with the conclave, and on her own part too, my wife is not somebody that easily forgives. She is not because she takes her time, draws her lines, lets you know what's their does and done. So to get her to the point where she could give another chance, allow you to earn your trust and your love, was for me was the highest point of the intervention of the Diologues, and of course to what they do with couples and marriages.
Personally, I've always admired Sake, that's Kunle Ologe, and Wendy. Wendy is a relative of ours, my husband's cousin, and I just love what they do with themselves. They are very intentional in everything they do with the kids, with us when it comes to intentional parents, and then marriage in particular. So seeing them, we felt that it would be a good stuff to model our own families, have them be like our mirror, So it was a good decision, and we still think it is till now to join the couples conclave. So shout out to Sake.
Okay, there are actually many memorable moments. That's why she's laughing. What I enjoy most is apart from the routine seminars by Coach Kunle, what I enjoy most is the weekly activities. In fact, that's the one that has us, that cracks our ribs, and that's why she's laughing. There is this particular one, the tongue twister, and then there is one that says, that demands that you praise your couple in your native language non-stop. So some of the praises I give her, that's why she's laughing, and I'm not sure it's fit for camera. So for us is fun, and in that fun is the power. But what I will really say is the most powerful is how almost over half a thousand couples intentionally undertake these taskings, do videos, week in, week out. From outside the conclave, you may think that marriage is just an autopilot sort of, just plug and play. But inside a conclave, you realize that marriage is not plug and play. It's intentionality. You deal with marriage like you deal with business. You must invest emotions, materials, activities, etc. And collectively, not just one person doing his own thing. So that's, for me, that's powerful. That several hundreds of couples intentionally, day in, day out, week in, week out, commit to doing activities that will help bonding. For me, that's a powerful one.
I think the books that that is usually recommended for us to read. Personally, I'm not the reading type, but somehow I have come to read. So the books, those are for me, and I think most of the books, especially the ones from him, they're just good tools, and I'll recommend for every couple out there to get to read them. You will learn one or two stuff about marriage.
Beyond the books, because Sake has done a lot of excellent books, really. But there's a philosophy he adopts in marriage counseling that worked for us, really. If he's counseling you, one of the first things he says is, why do you want to dump a marriage that can be fixed? He doesn't believe that every broken marriage is irredeemable. He works with this inspiration that most marriages can actually be salvaged if people know the right tools to use. So that approach for me is one of his most powerful tools. He also has this sense of empathy. He literally wears your shoes, and then knows exactly where it pinches. He doesn't condemn. He assumes your position regardless of whatever it is, and he approaches you from that very point of your failing and then tries to lift you. So for me, his power of empathy and the ability to lift regardless of how down you may have fallen, that is it for me with regards to Coach Kunle.
Joining the conclave, Sake has always emphasized on forgiveness and communication in marriage. Personally, I feel that I'm of the school of thought that everybody's an adult, you know what you are doing, but I've come to learn that you communicate regardless of what you feel about your partner. If you don't like something, you say it. If you're angry, if the person has wronged you, you say it. So it's one of the stuff I've learned. It has changed me. I've learned to communicate, regardless of whether I feel the person knows what he's doing. And that's of course my husband. And thankfully he's learning.
So for me, I would say is I've learned to lead from the front. If you make commitments, you must keep it. Again, Sake relates marriage to business. If you have a business and you're making money and you have a certain percentage, you must invest per capital or as per capital. The moment you take away from that capital, that business wouldn't last. So if you have made a commitment, you must keep to that commitment. So that's one thing I've also learned to do. Lead from the front, stick to commitments, and like my wife said, communicate. Again, we have always had a feeling that we have the best marriage, but Conclave opened our eyes to what could be more, centering around intentionality of commitments, sacrifices, mutual activities, regardless of whether you are even physically present or not. So again, I go back to the weekly activities. Sometimes you don't feel up to it, but those activities are very interesting and they are very engaging. And we also, what the Conclave have done to us, because we always pride ourselves in the sort of marriage we have, the Conclaves have become like a yardstick. We use it to gauge what we are doing and what we can do better, both with ourselves and then with the children God has blessed us with. So I think it has been a major enhancement for our marriage.
To add to it, I think there was one particular activity that we were asked to do, and this particular couple, they live apart. Apparently, maybe the man is working somewhere far, but somehow they found a way to do it together. I don't know how they did the video. This person did their own, and they came together and did the activity. And it taught me that regardless of how maybe the distance, which sometimes people people say distant marriage and all that, sometimes circumstances make it that way, but they found a way. That particular couple, they found a way to come together and make things work. So regardless of the distance, you can still make a marriage work. If you know Sake, that's Coach Kunle, you would know that whatever he wants to do, he puts God first. So it has taught me, being the conclave, just like our coach has taught me, that you put God first. Regardless of even the slightest things that you think that you can just go ahead and do, just put God first in your marriage. You want to start a project, you want to just anything, you have a slight issue, you don't know how to even communicate. One time Sake said, if you don't know how to communicate, just pray. The words will come to you, So it has taught me that putting God first is the only thing that you can do to have a successful marriage.
In one word, exceptional. I had referred to his power of empathy. I think it makes it easy for him to deal with all manner of couples. His ability to really wear your shoes, he does that very perfectly. He doesn't. Some of us see him like the perfect man, but he doesn't talk to you like the perfect man. He understands virtually all weaknesses that you can point out in relationships, especially marriages. So for me, he's just exceptional. He was called to do this, and I think also for us especially, I don't know how often he has put out this publicly. He will tell people that we are, in all intent and purposes, his first couple per counseling. And it started even before he formally launched the Marriage Seal Academy. You know, they have always been our go-to. We had marriage sponsors, we have mentors, you know, but again, distance and all, we wanted people that we could relate with, both at age level, exposure level and all. And then God gave us Sake, and he makes the most of it. You know, he was just born for it. Even before he began, he had already started. He's just exceptional. And now I recommend him highly, not just because we are related, but because I am a beneficiary of my relationship with him, even beyond the academy. And is that personality that he shares with those in the conclave and those who happen to get in touch with him. He's exceptionally coaching. Babe, I'm sure you'll agree with me that I am man.
And the calmness at which he does it, you know, is something that I don't know how he does it. You can come to him ranting and he's just there looking at you, very calm. I'm like, okay, that's supposed to be for me. And then he just calms you, and you see that somehow the calmness just influences you as well, and you get to see the perspective he's coming from while he's counseling you.
Which one? You will still go back to that vernacular something.
Yeah, well, I think there was one that they asked us to teach to sing. You know, personally, I'm not a song person. Neither is he. We don't know how to sing, but somehow we tried. We didn't post our own because we are not part of the couple to, you know, post. We are not scheduled to post. But well, I tried my best. At the time, I started thinking, should I not just consider singing as a career?
I was happy that you were not asked to share anyway, because she doesn't agree that my voice is good, but I have a good voice. But that's by the way. Again, for me, there are too many unforgettable moments, really. But this actually also stands out. Formally, I've introduced two couples to the Marriage Academy on issues that I felt Sake would be best positioned to handle. You know, I had already talked to the couples and they were making progress, but I feel they could benefit from what I consider the source of my marital wisdom. So it's what I say to couples. It's highly recommended. You know, it's not just about academy as academy. Again, getting into the academy gives couples the privilege, if they know the person of Kunle Olege, gives them the privilege to interact with him as a person. You know, and there's nothing in his hands that goes to waste, really. So is what I say to couples is something I preach regularly. Once there are a lot of couples that have challenges, and again, they look at I and my wife as the perfect example. We've been married for 14 years, by the way. So a lot of couples come to us with their problems too. We help them as much as we can from our own personal experience, but it always ends with get in touch with Sake, always. So it's what we tell couples, not what do we something we're already doing.
Don't just stay there. Don't just sit down. And before now, I'm a believer of no third parties, but you need somebody. You need people to talk to, the right people actually. So I recommend Sake, the Couples Conclave. Talk to people that will inspire you. Don't just sit down and think you can do it alone. You need people that will continually inspire you to be better in your marriage.
Yeah, I agree with wife. You know, what I've seen is that most successful marriages, even for Mr. and Mrs. Kunle and Wendy Olege, most successful marriage have an accountability system. There must be somebody you look up to. You know, no matter how big you have become or how big you are, there must be somebody. It may also be your mates. There must be an accountability system. There are people too who have developed like an inner circle of couples committed to the same values. You have 4 or 5 couples committing themselves to the same values, planning holidays together with their families, attending marriage seminars and courses together. You must have that accountability system. Otherwise, you leave your marriage to chance. And whether you are the man or the woman, there are too many things waiting on the side to get in between your marriage. So I will tell couples outside, get an accountability system. If it's the conclave, for me, best for you. If it's the Marriage Academy, best for you. But even if you do not want to do the conclave, the way we are doing it. Get an accountability system. Be intentional about marriage. That's basically what the conclave is all about and what Mr. Kunle Ologe teaches.
Shout out to every couple in the conclave. We love you. See what you're doing. Keep inspiring all of us.
We have not done a video in the conclave.
Shout out to everybody. We love you. Sake, Wendy.
Some of our retreats where we can come together and put faces to the many names and numbers we see in the group. Sake, I can't thank you enough. We are always indebted to you. Thank you for all you do. And for the moment, it's difficult to separate Wendy and Kunle. You know, I know this is Marriage Academy, but shout out also to the Intentional Parent Academy. Big ups to you guys. You do well, baby.
God bless you.
I gotta get breakfast.